Hello, hello, lovely people. Welcome to the devrel show. Not on the usual Thursday because, the end of the world happened last Thursday. Google Cloud was down, or part of Google Cloud was down last week, like 30 seconds before joining, actually, not joining the show, but like I always do like a 15 minutes before the show just to
Mhm.
check like everything is fine with the gas and like testing your computer and the mic and everything. And I wasn't able to access StreamYard, and I was like, oh my God, StreamYard is down. So I said to Anthony, like, sorry, man, we need to postpone the show. It's not going to happen right now. And even if it's quote unquote working like 5 minutes after, you never know with those things. And I realized after that,
Yeah,
I tried
absolutely.
to go to three other services and they were all down. And I was like, oh, like that's not StreamYard. Like there's something bigger at play here. And yeah, that was Google Cloud. So those things happen. People
Mhm.
laugh at me when I say like think about multi-cloud ways of managing your business, like not being resilient only on one cloud, and those kind of like moments prove me that I'm not so crazy after all. But anyway,
Yeah,
that's life.
absolutely.
That's the internet. Always happy to be here. This time on a Tuesday, but again, always with amazing
Mhm.
guests. I didn't do the show for about 2 months this summer because it was so focused on job search, and I was supposed to be at a conference, so I didn't schedule anyone, and I didn't ask anyone else to be on the show. I missed it. I missed it. I know I've done a show. I've done a show 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, but I still want to say I missed it. So happy to be
Mhm.
back. Happy to talk about developer relation and all things amazing that my guests are doing in their everyday life. And today's not an exception. I have Anthony with me. Anthony, how is life and who are you?
Yeah, life is great. I mean, it's going good. Weather is nice. Devrel show is addictive. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here. Who am I? That's a really deep philosophical
It
question.
is.
But no, I am a developer advocate. I've done this for about 7 years now, though if I think back to it, I've been involved in boosting and helping technical communities since I've been a teenager. So yeah, 7 years ago or so, I figured out that I could actually get paid to do it, and I've loved it ever since. I love community building in particular. Who am I otherwise, though? I'm a guy who likes photography, who likes pottery, have a bunch of artsy hobbies sometimes, but they always lean a little more nerdy for me. And yeah, that's who I am. Oh, I
Yeah.
also actually let me plug my blog. I run a new blog called Captivate.dev where I found that when it comes to developer relations, you will get a lot of very like high level explainers of what developer relations are. But when it comes down to, actually, obviously from shows like this, but I haven't seen many blogs like it. When it comes down to actually doing the work and actually having techniques and strategies for doing it, there's not too much of that content out there. So I made Captivate.dev for that, for developer relations experts and really anybody interested in building developer communities and going out there and evangelizing to developers. How do you do that? And yeah, I've got a few articles up so far and got a plenty more in the process and ready to be written. So yeah, that's me.
That's great. I'm a big fan of sharing about your expertise or
Mhm.
experience with the rest of the people because as developer advocate, I'm not competing with other developer advocates. I want them to be
No.
successful, even if they work
Mhm.
like at a company that basically is a competing, like their product competes with mine.
Mhm.
I still want them to be successful. So like if we can share as professional, like how to be the best at what we do.
Yeah,
I think it's great. So thanks for doing that. I'm all about like sharing our secrets about developer relation to help other people being successful. That's great.
absolutely. I agree 100%. I never really care if anybody's like even a direct competitor. It's cool. We're all friends. Like everybody, if everybody's successful at the end of the day, that's what's important.
Yeah, and I even go further than that with competitors. Like depending on the company I work for and
Yeah.
the let's say the openness of my manager at the time, I've done things with competitors. Like I remember when I was
Mhm.
working at Microsoft, I've done things with like we're competing like on the browser side of things, which was one of my focus. And
Yeah.
I've done things with people at Mozilla. I've done things with people at Google. I've done things with people at Opera. at the time, and because we're like, all our goals is about like getting the people being able to access the web and getting the webs more open. And maybe it was not the total goal of Microsoft when I was working there, because it was during a pre-Satya era where Microsoft was a little less open, but I was still doing those kind of
Yeah,
things. So, like if there is a way for us to help each other being successful, I think it's great.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, and Anthony was a little shy as an intro, because before we even started the show, we had that comment from Adam, who was saying, Anthony Lusardi. Did I say your last name correctly?
Yeah,
Yeah,
close
you can
enough.
say no. It's fine. Is an amazing
It's fine.
industry expert. I look forward to hearing Anthony's insights on developer relationships in the current digitally transformative landscape. None of the less. And we have
Oh yeah,
both
thanks
battle
very
on
much, Adam.
Twitch at the same time. They're both spamming our channel right now. So if you're on Twitch, it seems like there's both arguing against each other. But thanks to them from the discussion, from the good point about Anthony. I think it's great to have you on the show. You have experience with developer relations, but I want to start
Mhm.
with two things that are not even related with developer relations. You said like you are doing photography, and we can see this by your background. You have a couple of
Yeah,
like
there's a lot of
cameras
cameras
behind
over
it.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. It's difficult. Like, photography is accessible for everyone now with like your smartphones,
Mhm.
but like really, like, it's a passion and it's not easy.
Mhm. It's I don't think photography is that hard. Photography is like, that game, what's it called? It's not called Othello. It goes by another name, but they have a tagline where it's like easy to learn, difficult to master. Like I feel like photography is like that, because
Okay.
photography is just a few settings really, and most of them you can control with your phone. So like the one you can control with your phone is the aspect ratio of your lens. Like your lens just has a fixed aspect ratio, like how much, which is basically how much of the scene the lens takes in. Some lenses are really narrow and only taking a small part of the scene, and they're for looking really far. Other ones are really wide and taking a bigger part of the scene. And that's like one of the dimensions that you have to, do when doing photography. And then you've got a couple others. You've got, and I don't need to go into all of them, but you've got shutter speed, and you've got your f-stop, and you've got your ISO. And those three you can control on any camera, whether it's your smartphone or anything else, for the most part. And I think like the ability to literally just take that small device and those 3 to 4 settings
Mhm.
and make like beautiful art with it is really amazing. I think that there's very little art out there, and you can buy all the camera gear in the world, but there's very little art out there that you can do. You just need to worry about 3 or 4 settings, and that's it. That's all you need to make your art. And I think that's just really like what attracted me to photography at first was it was actually really easy to get into. It didn't take, I just started with my cell phone and I liked it so much that I eventually bought a camera, and then I liked it so much that I bought a few more cameras. And no, don't let all those cameras there fool you. I use like 2 of them most of the time.
Yeah, but
But yeah, it's fun.
I was just going to say, like, I mean, I took photography courses. I was the kind of guy who
Mhm.
buy like way too expensive equipment for the
Yeah.
knowledge that I had, and I took a course and I learned how to manage those settings. But I don't think I have the artistic eyes. Like I was
Mhm.
trying to take pictures of inanimate objects and do like landscape, and I tried different things, and they were okay, but they were not like beautiful pictures. They were not like
Mhm.
artistic pictures, and I was like, you know what? I think I understand how to do it in terms of like the theory of like how to do the
Yeah.
photography, but like I didn't have like the artistic skills. So I just decided at some point, you know what, it's something that I thought I enjoy, but actually, you know what, I'm just going to use my smartphone and take pictures, and that's going to be good enough for me. So it's the part that I was like, I think it's a little bit difficult because I don't think I have the eyes for that as much as I would like to. And I tried pottery too. It's why I wanted to talk about it. I know it's not been developer relation, devrel related, but I tried this with friends not too long ago. There was like a introduction class. It was not even a class, like it was like a 3 hours events or something, or 2 hours, and she showed us the basic, and we did like a real small container, like a small pot. That is difficult though. Again, maybe because I'm not
Pottery can
like
be
a
difficult
manual
and frustrating.
person, and I was impressed. Like I did not expect it to be that difficult. At the same time, I did something that was not disgusting either. That was not bad, but I was like, yeah, that require you some finesse and some ways to do those kind of things. I liked it, and obviously I was with friends, so I redo the ghost scene because it was probably like the, I don't know, 20th person that day that was doing that stupid things, but I had to do it. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
those are
Well, did
great
you
tools.
enjoy it at least?
I
Like,
liked it.
I
I
take a
like
lot of photos and I enjoy it, but I'm not always good at it, and I still can enjoy it even when I'm not.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it. Like I
Yeah.
don't think I was good at it. Like some of my friends were worse than me, other friends were way better than me. But I enjoyed it because I don't consider myself a manual person. I'm a typical computer person who's more like brainy than manual. So like when I try to
Yeah.
fix things, I just bought a house like a year ago. Now I need to fix things. I should probably record myself. That would be a great show on the internet. That's funny, and that's sad at the same time. So I like that with pottery. Um, you needed those kind of skills that I don't really have, but I was still able to create something. Was not perfect. It was not something that I could have like sell to someone else. It was still fun to be able to build something with my end, and
Yeah.
also being able to, like, you don't succeed at first, it's fine. You just put the clay back and you start over again, and nobody's die, and everybody's happy,
Yeah.
and you continue to do it, which is good for me. It's why when I game, I like those games when you can die like 10,000 times and just start over again. So pottery was like this for me. Like you can destroy everything, like it's fine, just do it over again, like use the clay and you're good. Go back to what you were
Yeah,
doing.
it's great. And
Yeah.
I'm a big believer too that when it comes to art and it comes to like any passion in your life, like sometimes it's not the right time to do it. Like even pottery, I feel like I'm decent at pottery. I make some really cool things sometimes. Sometimes I don't. But lately, like the past month or two, I've just been had like a creative block in my head. Like I haven't really made anything that I'm really happy with. And so I think I'm probably just going to take a break from it for a little bit. And then the next time I need to go back to it as an art, I'll go back to it. Or if I need to go back to something else or do photography or something different instead, then I'll do that. And so, yeah, it's not, it's like life is long. So don't
Yeah,
need
and
to
I
get
think
good
it's
at anything right away.
yeah, I think it's healthy also to like take
Yeah.
those break and just say like,
Hmm.
you know what, I need a break of that. It's not that I don't like it anymore. It's just right now it's not something that I want to do or I can do or I feel like there's great result
Yep.
out of it. And as you said, like I decided to leave photography alone just because I bought all that expensive equipment and it was like it's not for me. I need to sell it. And I was like, you know what, I prefer to just have my phone. I'm not someone who likes to have like a bag
Hmm.
and like all those things on me. So I thought there was like,
Yeah.
for the quality of the picture that I'm doing with that way too expensive camera, I'm
Hmm.
probably better to take my phone, and the results in my case is going to be kind of like
Yeah.
the same. But yeah, with that said, I like to talk about hobbies with people because they're not just developer advocate, they're not just
Hmm.
like technical evangelists. Like there is other part in their life, hopefully, which bring
Hmm.
me to your professional experience. Like you said it in your intro,
Yeah.
you've been doing developer relations for a while. I smile when you say like, "Hey, I figured out that I could get paid to do what I was
Hmm.
already doing on a personal level," which was my case too. When I started as a developer advocate, I was already doing some of the stuff, not everything, because that job is like 20 jobs in one, but I was doing some of the stuff that like a
Yeah.
developer advocate is getting paid to. And I was like, hey, I do that on my personal time, and someone can pay me to do that like every day. And this is how I started. So yeah, just want to talk a little bit about your experience. You were developer advocate at Digital Asset, a senior developer advocate at Wix. Um,
Mhm.
how does developer advocate roles work at those companies? Because it's not like a software developer role
Yeah.
where it's kind of like the same in every company. You just change the technology, and like how you're going to build
Mhm.
things. Developer advocate can be quite different from one company to the other. So I wonder if you want to share a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, developer relations can vary wildly from one job to the other. And yeah, going to those two, those are really illustrative of two ways that they can be wildly, wildly different. So at Digital Asset, the community that I built there, basically from zero, was one of super enterprise devs. These are the smartest people in the room when it comes to developers. They wrote all their code in a language that we at Digital Asset had made that was kind of like Haskell, to put it that way. And so they were all really, really valuable community members, and they didn't have a place to actually engage with each other and a place to, help each other. And that's what I helped put together there. But the thing about the product that we offered is that it was mostly for large financial organizations to use. So organically, you're not going to ever get that many other people using it. All your adoption is going to come from your sales team doing their thing and pulling in new people who then adopt your technology and tell their engineering team to go use it. So dealing with that and creating a community that served that use case with those types of users, and making sure that they all felt, each and every one of them, that they were very valuable,
Mhm.
which they were, was really important. And that's what I had to put together, and that's what you want to be able to look at and then justify too. Like, it's sometimes hard to justify developer relations internally at a company. But I think one thing you can do, especially for something like that where you're not going to grow, oftentimes when like your community is growing, you could at least be like, well, the community is growing, so of course like it's worth more. And you have other metrics that can be like, oh, revenue grew with this community. So yeah, but it's really hard to prove the value all the time. And so sometimes,
Yeah.
as when you're a developer relations expert, you have communities like that where, okay, what's the value here? Because these developers have to use our software anyway. And the value is, proving that stickiness, proving that these engineers are having a great time so that if any competitors come in to the picture, there's no chance of ever migrating to them because the engineering team would be very unhappy with it and would help enforce that stickiness amongst your team. And you're helping them too at the same time get further and further along in the product, get further and further acquainted with it, so that this way, even adopting a new product and using it to the same degree they can use yours could be a year-long plus ask just for the education aspect, if it exists at all. So it's a huge differentiator in that. One thing that I think can really help with that, especially in more practical terms, and not to get too off topic, but is a concept known as like revenue touch. And that's basically to say, oh, these developers at these organizations accounting for this amount of our total revenue are in our community and are active and engaged in our community. So of all our engaged users, how much revenue is represented by them? And that's, I think, a really powerful way to prove that externally. But I probably got a little off topic, so the I'll bring it back to how different DevRel can be depending on where you're working at. Um, and Amanda Martin was on the show a little bit ago, and she actually said something that I completely agree with, which is like any DevRel job, yay, you do the interviews and you talk to them. It's not until you're like 6 months into the job that you actually truly know what the job is,
Yeah.
that all the requirements are truly fleshed out, and that there's a real good understanding. Because a lot of times it's about educating the company too. So at Wix, when I joined, there was almost no developer community. There were about 200-ish developers who had been at Wix with Wix for a long time, working on what is now called the Wix Velo product. And they really liked the access they had to everybody at Wix, but that community, the way it was designed, wasn't scaling.
Mhm.
So I had to come up with ways, and I could talk about them too, to actually scale that community to get it from those 200 users to 10,000 to now the forum has 100,000 users. It's a mix of developers and non-developers, but DevRel is a huge part of that forum size and growth. And yeah, it's stuff that I'm really proud of. But like the difference there is that literally anybody can develop on Wix. We had community members who would join because they were interested in some of the advanced features Wix had, and then got interested in the code parts of Wix because it started solving their solutions. And they were just copy pasting code that they found on the internet. And then they actually taught themselves to code and learned and became developers.
Nice.
Not all the time, but like it's just was just to illustrate that it was so much more of an open type of community and a community that anybody could join and have a good time in. And actually, not to plug Wix too much, but I'm sure if you were a web developer and developing for clients, you can go have a good time in the Wix community as it exists right now, because I'm sure it's still great.
Yeah, and I need to say
Yeah.
the same thing I was saying to Amanda about Wix. I was quote unquote forced to use Wix recently. Like my Buddhist center is
Some of
using
our best
Wix
users are forced
to
to use Wix.
yeah, to manage the website because like most people are not technical, and it was like the perfect platform for them
Mhm.
and me. Like as a developer, I started to use it and was like, oh my god, like that's great for non-technical users, but there's those things that I want to do that like it's not part of like the default interface. And I learned that like, oh
Yep.
no, there's a lot of things that I can do as a developer too. So actually I started like someone who, let's say, was not really open-minded about using the platform to like, oh my god, no,
It's
okay,
fair.
now actually I liked it
Mhm.
because like there's a purpose for the other people in my organization that
Yeah.
are not technical and need to update the website and need to publish events that they're doing, and that's working perfectly. And there is people like me who
Mhm.
want to do like little things a little bit different, and I have the opportunity to do that with the platform as a developer. So I like the fine mix that Wix was able to do that. But and by the way, folks, I'm not being paid by Wix to say that. I usually
That,
don't bullshit. I'm really honest about the things that I like and don't like. And I didn't like it
mhm.
at first, but I discovered a product that's like, oh my god, I know they're speaking to me also. So
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Yeah, I tell people sometimes, and like this is a thing too, is there are other platforms where if you're hosting a website and that's all you want to do, you might be better served by another platform. But I think where Wix truly shines is literally for like 20 bucks a month, super affordably. You can get access to not just website building, not just front end and back end development. You can do a dozen different verticals. Like you've got a CRM in there, you've got a CMS in there. Like you get so much for that. And I think that's like really, and like you said, you can make this website and then, you know, um, I don't want to like you just can then give it to other people and they can use it because it has a familiar interface to them where you don't have to roll that yourself. But yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you had a good time with it because I'm really proud of what I did at my time at Wix.
yeah, it's great. And two
Yeah.
things. Actually, one thing that is really important to me that we're talking about was like building a community.
Mhm.
I've been interviewing a lot recently, like trying to find my next role after Construct closed its doors, the startup where I was, and I was surprised by how many companies do not have some kind of communities. And when they were asking me
Yeah.
like, oh, what do you want to improve at a company if you would get the job, there's a lot of things that I would like to improve because it's just, I'm doing this for a long time. I really like I see a lot of
Mhm.
things that maybe other people don't see, and I really want to people to have the best developer experience out there. But like if you have no communities, if there's no place where people can
Yep.
go and feel like they're part of something,
Yep.
but for real, not just like, oh, we give you the impression you're
Mhm.
part of something, but also having access to people, the company. Again, it doesn't mean everyone, it doesn't, but
Yeah.
like a healthy community where people can go, they can ask questions, they can get help, they can feel that they're part of something. There's a lot of benefits for the company. There's a lot of benefit for the people, but there's a lot of benefits for the company. And this is where I always try to like. This is all where it's easier for me to identify potential influencers or people that really like the product, that are like excited about the product or service, and basically to become virtual evangelists or virtual developer advocates, where the basic or Google
Yep.
MVP, call them Google MVP, Google expert or Microsoft MVPs.
Mhm.
I think it
Yeah.
all starts with like having a place, a community. So
Those are honestly like the best developer advocates out there are people who aren't paid to talk about your software, but like to go and talk about it themselves. Yeah, we had a few of those at Wix who ran their own YouTube videos dedicated to just educating other people on how to use the entire platform. And they're so valuable because, like, yeah, an employee can go out and tell somebody this thing is great, this thing is good, but ultimately everybody knows they're being paid to say it. So when somebody who's not being paid to say goes, it can be really, really valuable. And yeah, that's
oh yeah.
why Microsoft's MVP program and Google's version of it are just so worthwhile.
Oh no, they're
But not
worth it.
everybody needs that too. Like that's a large company thing. You can do it much more informally. Microsoft has a very robust MVP program.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah.
And but I still think like this is so much important. As you said, like if you don't know me, you don't know me. But like as a developer advocate, no matter who's paying me, I'm never gonna bullshit you. I'm always gonna be honest and
Hmm.
transparent because I feel like my job is to create human connection with
Yep.
peoples. And if I'm not, that's gonna work in the short term. That's not gonna work in the medium to long term, but I'm still being paid by the company. So, like, some people may not trust me because at the end of the day, I get a paycheck by the company building that software, building that service. So, as you said, having that third party person would do that because they firmly believe that, like, and they
Yeah.
used it and they loved it and they believe that, like, it's helping them being more successful, whatever does that mean for them. It's
Hmm.
so important. It also helps the company scale, no matter the efforts that people are putting in it. And obviously, hopefully, company try to find that kind of like win-win situation where you're not just looking for people to do free work for you, but like if there is some kind of win-win situation, I think those like having that community, building those programs can be really, really interesting and
Yeah.
important part of developer relation.
Without a doubt. Yeah, those programs and even, just lighter stuff can be.
Yep.
Sometimes all anybody needs is encouragement to write that blog post or make that video, or all they need is, somebody to cover their ticket to an event you're
Yep.
already sponsoring and you have tickets to give them. Yeah, or they're just, they want to give a talk and you can help them do that. And yeah, there's tons of ways to just, get people talking about your products and evangelizing for them, even if they don't work for your company.
Yeah, I agree. More like a generic question for you. I'm talking with a couple of
Mhm.
people recently that like they want to start doing developer relation. They're kind of new to it. Some have developer experience, some a little less, but like they're new to developer relation. They want to start. Do you have any? You've been doing that for a couple of years now. You did not start your career as a developer advocate, which like the same
Mhm.
for most people. So do you have any
Yeah.
like advices for someone who would like to start in developer relation?
Hmm. Yeah, it's a tough one. I would say, one, know if you're like the type of person that wants to do that. If you like developing and coding a lot and you can see yourself continuing to do it and you want to do developer relations, like you want to write a blog every once in a while, but you still want to code as the major part of your job, then, I would consider staying as a coder and writing your blogs once in a while. Um, I think that yeah, everybody has a different set of skills and things that they like to do. But however, if you are a social person and you really like, getting out there and talking with people. And not saying developers aren't social. I think developers are, but it's what people like doing the most. And if talking to people and building up communities is what you like doing the most, then yeah, just try and do it. You don't always need to, and this is especially so if you're just getting into developer relations, like you don't have any experience and you want to put something on your resume. There are tens of thousands of projects out there that would love somebody to come in and help build up their community just a little bit. And they don't even know that. And if you see a project out there where you like them, they maybe have a Discord, have a forum or something, particularly a Discord, I think would be a really good place to wet your feet. Then go in and start helping out, start answering questions, just help out with things that people have with the product. Then talk to the people who run the Discord. Um, I do this sometimes like just as a side thing, not like really, not always with tech, but different communities that I'm a part of. I'll just help give like pointers of here's a better way we could potentially run the community. Hey, you've got disruptive users and there are no rules. So can you set some rules so that we can handle disruptive users? Hey, you have people posting interesting stuff in here, but there's nobody sees it. Can we create a process to amplify that? Like, can we make a channel for it, or can we like do announcements for it? Can we just give people recognition? Can you just not even make me a mod, just give me a special like little thing so that when people know that I'm shouting them out, I'm shouting them out on behalf of the project. There are so many ways you can just help out, and then like you can then go and put that on your resume, and you can say, "Hey, I did this." Or if you do it for a place, you can always end up just eventually falling into it because they realize, especially if it's for a company, they realize that they might need this. But yeah, just try it, and also it's part of the seeing if you like it. Community building. When it's going great, it's great. When it's not going great, it's not enjoyable.
Yes.
If somebody's yelling at you publicly on a Discord, it's really not enjoyable. So you can learn about yourself too if you like that stuff. So that's some of my advice for like starting out. Also, I'll plug myself if anybody listening wants like more specific advice, or I'll review your resume or something, or I'll do a little practice interview with you. My Zcal that Fred has put on the screen before, there it is. You can just book a quick chat with me. I'm more than happy to talk with anyone about anything related to DevRel. I'm not going to try to sell you on anything. I don't have anything to sell other than to say read my blog, which is free. And yeah, that's basically what I would say though is just start dipping your feet in it. It's really easy to. There are so many projects out there that need the help anyway.
Yeah, I agree. Good point. And ask that question once in a while.
Mhm.
And you're the first who said like, just be sure you want to do that, like because there is a trade-off. And I liked it because that's
Yeah.
so true. There is a trade-off. I've
Mhm.
been working in tech for a while, and the first 10 years of my career, I was a software developer, and I loved it. I
Mhm.
love creating
Yeah.
projects. That is the one of the only places in my life where I feel creative. Like I can create stuff.
Mhm.
I feel like it's art, not because I'm that good. It's
Yep.
just like, hey, I wrote some text and wow, there was something visual popping up on my screen. So I loved it. But yeah, I'm a social extrovert who also love helping people being successful. So, when I got approached for doing things that I was already doing in my day-to-day life, but just
Yeah.
for free and for fun, just for the pleasure of it, I was like, hey, I can get paid to do that. And you know what? I miss coding full time because I'm a developer at
Yeah.
heart. But when I put this on a scale, I love the devrel more because different reasons, but it's not for
Yeah.
everyone. And as much as I've been doing that for devrel for I think 14 years now, I still love doing devrel, but there is also cons of doing devrel. It's not just like rainbows and unicorns, and like there are things that are not that fun of doing that job. So like any jobs
Mhm.
also. It's not specific to DevRel,
Yeah, every
but
job is like that.
keep this in mind when
Yeah.
you're thinking about doing the move, because obviously it's
Mhm.
developer advocate, so you still need to be a developer, but at the same time, it depends on the company. Last
Yeah.
company where I was more like a DevOps. Even my title was developer advocate. I was more like a DevOps advocate. The company
Mhm.
before, it was machine learning and stuff, but it was not really targeted to developer much. It was a little less technical. The previous job before that was really technical. So also it depends where you
Yep.
go. You're still going to be technical. Your target audience is still going to be developer, but you may not code as much. But there is
Mhm.
those roles that are like developer engineering or developer relation engineer, where like you do a little bit of devrel, but you
Yep.
build SDKs or stuff like that. So that could be also a fine mix. I liked also that you talk about, basically do the job before doing the job, which is like try the
Mhm.
stuff that you're going to do as a developer advocate. So first, you know if you're going to like it. And secondly, you're going to be able to prove to potential employer that you can do the job, even if you didn't do it professionally before, you were not getting paid to do it. I think this is how most developer advocates started, by doing
Yep.
the job
Absolutely.
on their free time, starting to speak at meetups or writing blog posts or doing
Mhm.
webinars or stuff like that. That again show people that like, hey, I can do the job even if nobody paid me before to do it. So I
Yeah,
like that.
that's how I
Great
started doing the
advice.
job, and that was before I knew the term developer relations. I was just doing the job.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
was the same for me. I was starting to speak at conferences,
Mhm.
meetups. I was running a meetups. I was writing some blog posts, and many years ago, Microsoft approached me. They were like, "Hey, how about we pay you to do those things?" And long story short, I said no. Because it was Microsoft, and there was during a weird era, but they sold the job really good. And actually, my job was mostly open source, open data, and interoperability. So there was not like a Microsoft specific jobs, but that's
Oh,
another
that's
story
nice.
for another time. And we have Sahil. Let's say hi. Hi, Sahil. I hope
I said it.
life is good for you. And on that note, Anthony, not that I don't like
Mhm.
talking to you, but two developer advocates, we can talk forever. Like I always say,
Mhm.
I think it's time for us to move to the demo or slash presentation
Sure.
part of the show. And as much as I'm always excited about that part of the show, I'm a little more
Mhm.
about this one because that's about the Orbit model that I'm a huge fan. I'm a little bit sad that the company got acquired and product
Mhm.
been shut down, but they've done an amazing job. So yeah, talk to us about the Orbit model.
Awesome. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Yeah, I'm really sad that the product got shut down. I mean, shut down. I'm actually happy for the team that,
Yeah,
they
they got
got
acquired. Yeah.
purchased and moved on to bigger and better things. But yeah, it is unfortunate because the product itself was actually really good. They were still actively developing it.
Yeah.
I think I was giving a good deal of feedback at the time too. So they were actually doing because I mean it was a. Let me tell you a little bit about Orbit. Orbit is a way to think about communities. It's kind of a way to model how you look at your community. And so I think it's great. I recommend that this is actually a full website, a full guide. You see the link on the screen. You can go and actually not just look at this pretty little animation here, which I'll walk through first, but there's a whole bunch of written documentation on it too. And so at a very high level, what Orbit is measuring is it's measuring two things about each and every one of your community members. It's measuring their love for your product or mission. They put mission in the center. I think that's actually a really good choice. And then it's also measuring their reach, which is the interconnectedness of one user to another user. And when you take that in sum, they're measuring, they combine those two and they call it gravity. So that essentially means that, users tend to, the more they love your product, the more they move closer in orbit around your product. So Orbit likes to break them down into explorers, participants, contributors, and advocates. That's basically like people who are aware of your product, people who use your product and maybe ask questions in the community, people who make big, like some contributions within your community. Maybe they answer questions, maybe they've written a blog post, and advocates are like your diehard fans. And they go and probably do the most work. They go out to conferences. They do all those other advocacy related things, even if they don't necessarily work for the company. And so what you can do with Orbit is you can use it to kind of model and measure how active your community is. I don't know how to do it now because I don't know if the very old Orbit spreadsheet still exists, and and the current product doesn't exist, but it's still a really good way to think about it because it's essentially, it allows a lot more fluidity. One of the problems that developer relations has is that in marketing or in sales, you have the notion of funnels, right? People start at the top of the funnel and they go down the sales pipeline until they're a paying customer. With communities, it varies a lot. You know, there can be people out here in the participants orbit or even potentially in the explorers orbit who might be paying you, but they're not very active in the community. And there could be people who are super active in the community and they don't pay you, but but they contribute a lot. So if I go ahead and I click on one of these, for example, here, for example, we have one of the example advocates, and this is Jason. And what you see is they're really close to our mission. They talk a lot about this is just all hypothetical. They talk about whatever the product is. They probably do videos, blogs, etc. And then they have this reach to other users because users are coming to your community for two reasons. One, your product is good and they need to use it in order to solve a problem, which is absolutely mandatory. But then two, it's enjoyable to be in your community. And so if Jason were to disappear, then all these other people that Jason is connected to might also start to disappear. But if you build up connections between them, so for example, Marianne is connected to both Jason and Caleb. If Jason or Caleb disappear, then Marianne might still stay because Marianne still has these other connections in the community. But if both of them left, then Marianne might also drift away. And that's what's really important in measuring community is those interconnections between users. So I think Orbit is just a really great way to think about your community. I'm sure Fred probably has some questions and we can talk about it more. But I definitely encourage you to go and check it out. I think it's great that they still have it up. And they have a full set of explanations here of exactly how to think about it and exactly how to model a community. And even if you don't have the tools now, because the Orbit product doesn't exist, you can still, take this and use this in collecting data as a model, because there are other ways to do it. But if you're talking about like, somebody at your company wants to understand what the strength of the community is and how it works, you can then go and use this model to at the very least, if not more, tease out connections between people and be able to say that this community is valuable because you can see, for example, Elion here pulls in a lot of other people from the community from further out. And, let me find a good example. Actually, this might be a good one. Fabian here is a newer user and gets pulled into our community where if Jason or Brando or Eldridge there weren't available, Fabian might never join our community, might never convert to being a paying customer because there's nobody out there talking about us. So really, I think having those two metrics, love and reach, are great, and they really help boil down kind of what a community is. And then the last thing I'll say about it before we chat a little more is it also helps you measure your users over time. So for example, you have Eldridge here. Let's just choose this person. They may change their orbit over time. They may come closer. They may become more interested in your product, or they might start drifting away. Being able to observe that and know what is happening is super, super valuable. If they start drifting closer, or if you want to move them from a contributor to an advocate, which is typically what you would do when they get this close, you can do special outreach with them and say, hey, how would you like to do XYZ with me? You want to host a webinar, you want to go to a conference with me, etc. And then they become an advocate. Or they start going the other way and they go back to the explorer stage. You get to say, oh, this person who was previously pretty interested in our community drifted away. Let me go contact them and figure out why and how I can potentially bring them back, if at all. It's just a super, super powerful model. There's a ton to think about it, but at a high level, that's what the Orbit model is. And if you're doing developer relations or you're interested in developer relations, you should absolutely go out and look at this website. It's very pretty. And also read the documentation. The documentation is excellently written. I love the Orbit model, and that's why I chose this as my demo.
Now, I was so happy because I'm a huge fan of Orbit model. I was a huge fan of Orbit, the company. They were probably annoyed by me because when I just started, they opened the community. They were on Slack before Discord, and I was all like giving all those suggestions. And I was an advocate. I went really fast from explorer to participant to contributor to annoying contributor / advocate. It's just because that was the first tool since as long as I remember that helps me do my job, like the tool itself, but also the models. Because one of the things that it was always a little bit difficult is to show the value of developer relation in a world where companies are used to show, like to define the values of things with the dollar amounts and how much money does it bring. And it's not with developer relation, obviously, part of our job is to help fill the top of the funnel so the sales teams or any other teams can take the lead and do something. But my job is to help people being successful. And it's about managing that community to have like Explorer go to the next level, which like, hey, when I have someone who is not just an Explorer, but a participant, that person will give me feedback that I'm going to be able to bring to the product team to either know, are we going the right direction? Are we planning the right thing in the roadmaps? Is there things that we did not know about or did not understand or did not prioritize? And when you go to contributor, you have those people that like, basically that it's in the word, it contributes, and it helps you also to see or to understand what the company is about. And as I was saying before, when you reach the advocate level, you basically have people that do your job. Again, not in the sense of like, oh, I'm looking for free work, but they are more credible than me being paid by the company, and they help me to scales. And obviously, when you reach that point, when you had advocates, or even if you with or without a program, always try to find a win-win situation. It's not about free labor. It's about like, okay, what's the win for them to being an advocate? But like, what can I also help them with in terms of like, hey, there's an exchange of service here or whatever that can be, because it's not about getting free labor. But I'm blabbering right now. I'm just I have no question because I know the Orbit model, but I'm just a huge fan. So that's why when you told me like, hey, I want to talk about that, I was like, yes, nice, finally. I was talking about it. I did a lot of, as I said, I did a lot of interviews to find a new job as developer advocate. And quite often the question is like, how do you measure like developer relation or the success of developer relation? And I took a lot of things from the Orbit model, also like the developer love, like how much time they give to me and all those things that are part of the model. So if you plan to do developer relation or you're doing developer relation, at least read about the Orbit model. You don't have to use it, but at least read about it so you know it's there, and use it seriously.
Yeah, and I think to bring that back full circle is like the Orbit model is very indicative of the two things I think we both have been saying, which is you need two things to build a good community. You need a good product, which is the Orbit model here, and then you need a community that's passionate about it. And you need to help build that up and create that passion. And here we're sitting talking about a model that existed before a product for it existed, but that the product no longer exists. And we're still here trying to sell you on it. And I'm just advocating for this. Like I could sit here and talk about how great my blog is, and I don't really care to because I want to advocate for the Orbit model because I think it's great.
Yeah, and this is what you expect to achieve with folks in your
Yeah.
community, like having someone that, like, the reasons why, and I don't want to talk for you, but the reasons why I
Mhm.
talked about it, it's because I believe in it. I've used it. It helped me being successful in my job. It solved a problem for me, and this is what product, like, this is like always the why should people care about your product, like what are the problems that the product or the service are solving. An Orbit model solve a problem for
Mhm.
me, and on top of that, they had amazing people behind the model and behind the product. Like, they were listening to the community, and they were working on a great product that also helped me, not just the model but the product itself. And this is why I went to the advocate circle, around the mission and the middle,
Yeah.
because that did all those things for me. So it's not, it seems like magic. It's not magic. It's just like they align, everything aligned
Mhm.
perfectly together.
Yeah, there's always a lot of hard work behind all of this, but it's a great way to get visibility into it. And then you can also work this into revenue. You can say, hey, these people in these three orbits here, maybe not the explorers, but these three orbits, we're measuring them and they account for this amount of revenue. And then you can go ahead and prove the value of developer relations when you're asked to prove that. So I think on top of just building a community, it's super, super valuable for actually just proving the value of devrel, which can sometimes be a little hard.
True that.
Yeah,
Awesome. Anything else you want to share about
great.
the Herbert model?
No, that's about it. Yeah, definitely go check it out though. I love the
Yeah.
orbit model.
Awesome. So I think it's
I
great.
would really like if anybody from Postman ever sees this, I would love to see that application open source. I'll probably even make contributions.
Actually, that would be nice. Yeah, yeah. Because for those who do not know, Postman are the one who acquire Orbit, the company, the team, basically. So that would be nice to make it public. Awesome, folks.
Cool.
Anthony, I think it brings us to the end of the live stream. Any
Yeah.
last word again you want to share with folks?
That's pretty much it. Thank you everybody for listening. Again, if you want to connect with me at all, you can go to Captivate.dev. You can read my blog there, and then I also have links to at least chat with me and probably links to other things. There's also my link tree on the screen, but Captivate.dev is really easy to remember. So yeah, thank you all for listening to the show, and thank you very much, Fred, for having me. This has been great. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Anthony, for being on the show. People you do not know, but I had someone else who was scheduled, and last minute could have come on the show, and I was like, Anthony, you wanted to come on the show. I didn't have a date for you. Would you like really last minute come on the show? And it was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do this. And unfortunately, the last minute became like, oh, a
Those are
couple
my
of days
exact
later.
words.
But thanks for being amazing, jumping in, setting that episode. And that was a pleasure talking to you, learn a little more about yourself. And for folks, give a closer look to the Orbit model. Go on Captivate.dev, to learn more about how to just be amazing DevRel person. There's some great article there. I think the last one was about like hackathon, which is like also an important part depending on your product and target audience. So please check that. That's going to be a great resource. And on that note, folks, I won't see you in 2 weeks because the episode was supposed to be last week. So I'm going to see you not this week, but next week for the next episode of the Devrel Show. So thanks everyone for joining it live. Thanks for the people who also going to watch the recording, and see you in a little more than a week for the next episode.